Hello, and welcome to In the Kitchen with Mary Mac. Happy spring, everybody. It's actually spring in real life. According to the thermometer, it's even warmed up and everything. I wanted to apologize for the very long hiatus that we've had between shows. We've been very busy. My store, Standing Chimney, opened in March, and it takes a lot of work preparing to open that, but we were actually open 2 days in March. So I know that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Oh my gosh, we were open 2 days, we were wiped out. But we're an extreme specialty store located in western Pennsylvania, and we sell almost everything we have. Probably at this point about 95% of what we have is locally made. So we have to make the things, contact everyone who participates in our store, and then get the building all set up, which involves moving everything around because my store partner loves to move everything around, so we do that. And then get all the stock in and everything, get it all set up. And I don't know, we usually have about 10 disasters during that time. And then we open, and we have a fabulous time seeing people we haven't seen for a little while. We're open the first Saturday of each month from March through December, and then we're also open, we'll open like the first day of spring, the first day of summer, the first day of fall. We have a couple of other extra things that we do also. It's a little bit about our store, so that's my excuse for not doing this podcast, which is a very lame excuse, but an excuse nevertheless. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about something that I did for our spring opening that I'm kind of proud of. I have a candy that I actually made last year for the first time. I found it online. I was looking at some things online, and I found this candy called Irish potato candy. And I don't know, when you look up Irish potato candy, you will find a lot of recipes, varying recipes. I guess in the old days it was actually made with mashed potatoes, and some people still do that.
That sounds really gross.
Well, my friend's mom used to make it with mashed potatoes, John Chamberlain, and he's Irish, so. But apparently it's a candy that can be made with leftover mashed potatoes made by Irish people. The particular Irish potato candy that I wanted to make is something that comes from Philadelphia, which has an enormous Irish population. And it was a candy that was given out traditionally on St. Patrick's Day, and I guess they would hide a coin, which I always love, like, the British Isles are famous for this, making something and hiding a coin in it. Okay, first of all, the thing you're eating isn't that good for your teeth, sugary snack. And then they throw a chunk of metal in.
Well, and coins are probably the dirtiest thing you could put in a food.
Yeah, really. So they're throwing a nasty, dirty old penny in there for you to find and be delighted that you found a nasty, dirty penny in your sugary candy. So anyway, that was one of the traditions that I found. While I was looking for this recipe, I knew I would be making it. The store was open. We did a special St. Patrick's Day thing last year, and the store was going to be open. So I thought, that'd be a cool thing to try. So I start looking for the recipe, and the only thing I could find, they're all very similar, and they were all recipes that included cream cheese. And I knew I couldn't use cream cheese because I knew that my candy I wasn't going to keep it in a refrigerator, number one. Number two, it didn't sound really good. It was cream cheese. Most of them are cream cheese mixed with powdered sugar and coconut and formed into a ball. And, and it just, I don't know, the thought of all that cream cheese just didn't thrill me. So I thought there's got to be one that's just, if it's a candy sold in a candy store, it has to have been made at some time without cream cheese, because you wouldn't be able to do it. So I couldn't find what I was looking for. And when I say I did a lot of research, I read so many interviews with candy stores in the Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York area. I read recipes from people all up and down the East Coast. My mother made this is how my aunt did it, or my grandmother, whatever. So what I did was I kind of picked out a few recipes that I thought sounded reasonable in their amounts and instructions, and then I altered them slightly to something that I thought would be, how do they say that in the food biz these days? Non-hazardous? So that just refers to non-hazardous foods these days are foods that kind of can't kill you from, bacterial visitors.
Non-toxic.
Yeah, kind of in the same realm.
Edible.
So in my candy, I used butter. I used just butter and not cream cheese. And I made a dough with the butter, powdered sugar, coconut. And really, in all honesty, it was really funny because when you make it, the stuff falls all apart. So you have to knead it and knead it and knead it and work it and get it to stick together. And that's the thing. I think that's the thing that makes it a good candy. The coconut is slightly dry, but not really. But it will absorb moisture from the rest of the ingredients. And I think when you first start out, that coconut is so dry it doesn't want to stick to anything. And it's a mess. But I made it, and I thought it turned out fairly good. So I thought I'll do it again this year. Well, of course, after all that work I did last year, I couldn't find my recipe because that's how it goes in the food business. That is how it goes in the food business. So I could not find my recipe, and I looked everywhere that I thought I have I don't know, a dozen places where I put a specific recipe if it's good or if it's this type of recipe or whatever. And I don't make candy. I really don't make any candy. So that's, I thought, I have to find it. Well, I couldn't find it. So then I thought, well, I remembered reading a couple specific articles and a couple things, and I kind of remembered what I did. So I tried to retrace my steps again, did the same thing over, and spent about 2 days looking through recipes and trying to remember what I did. So I made my Irish potato candy for Standing Chimney's St. Patrick's Day celebration. And when I made it, I didn't think it was... I don't know. I just thought, this doesn't taste... I don't remember this tasting like this last year. Did this taste like this last year? I don't know. I mean, it was good, but it just didn't seem the same to me. And then when you make the potato candy, you make little potatoes maybe I don't know, 1.5 inches long. They're not huge, but they're like 1.5 inches long, maybe 1/2 inch wide, like a little potato-shaped thing, and you roll them in cinnamon to give them the appearance of being a little dirty brown potato, okay? So I rolled them in the cinnamon, and then I thought the cinnamon looked weird, and I didn't like the way the cinnamon looked on it. It was like, I'm thinking, what a disaster. And of course I made a double batch of disaster, so I thought, oh, lovely. I made them, and I took them over to the store, and they were very well received. People liked them. Now, I don't sell them because it's St. Patrick's Day, and they're a treat. So I don't sell them, but I give them out to the customers, and everybody really liked them. But I just kept thinking, yeah, they're being nice because, whatever. So I wasn't real pleased with them, but I made them, and they were a lot of fun to make. So it's something good to try. We also do a couple of other things for our St. Patrick's Day. We do, they're called an Irish tea cake, and basically what they are is like a very tiny, small soda bread with raisins, or currants in it, rather. And they're just they look like a small bun, but they're tiny little... that's the best equivalent I could say is if you were to make Irish soda bread, but make it like it were a small bun, and bake them on a sheet. That's about what they come out like. And we do that, and we have Devonshire cream, and we have a Reuben dip that we make. So we make it a nice, like a nice Irish evening, and we have delightful Irish music provided by Anna McAnellen, who is our resident Irish flute player, and she came and played for us, and it was very nice. It was a very nice event.
Mary Mac mixes are sold exclusively at Standing Chimney. Standing Chimney is next open on April 2nd from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. The address is 566 Payden Road in New Galilee, PA. But actually, we're just off of Route 376 West in beautiful Lawrence County. Stop by and say hi.
Well, now that my store is open, I'm probably going to be mentioning that every podcast just to promote myself, because that's why I'm here. The next time our store is open will be the first Saturday in April, which happens to be April 2nd. And if you're in Western Pennsylvania, by all means, look us up and come and visit us. We have a lot of really neat items, things you won't see anyplace else, with nearly 95% of it locally made. We won't have Irish potato candy next time, though, because that's like just for St. Patrick's Day. Although I don't know, I could be persuaded. I'm just riding the wave of my recent compliment, so, Oh, yes, I had mentioned during our commercial break that we did an event. Anna and I did an event at Wiggle Whiskey. It was really, really neat. It was actually at the Wiggle Whiskey Distillery, which is on Smallman Street in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And it was so cool, which I had to laugh because I'm thinking, oh, cookies and whiskey, nothing goes together like cookies and whiskey. It was all right, but
and barbecue.
And barbecue, yeah, and cookies, whiskey, and barbecue. But it was really neat. They had serving tables set up. They had some hors d'oeuvres and things like that, veggies and whatever, and of course, 30 dozen cookies. And right behind us were these enormous casks where whiskey was aging, and it was really something. I've never been in a distillery before to see something like that. It was really cool. They do tours, tastings. They have an event there almost. Not an event. They do something special there almost every day, like different pairings, like whiskey and coffee, and they have a book group, and they have tea and stuff like that. They have all kinds of things. So if you're in the Pittsburgh area, look them up. It's a really neat and different thing to see. They also do mixed drinks while you're there. They had about 6, I think, different mixed drinks.
I think they had like 5. There's 4 whiskey drinks and then 1 gin drink.
Yeah, and they have several different products that they manufacture there at their company, and they had several different styles of whiskey, which I didn't realize I'm not a whiskey person, so I didn't realize that was a thing. But they had several different styles. They age it in different barrels. They also do they make gin, and then they had a variety of whiskey-related items there. It was a very nice. I've never been there before. It was very nice. Then the event was really, really nice. They had Pittsburgh Smokehouse barbecue truck right outside in the parking lot, which was awesome. And my dream is to have a food truck a different food truck that would just park in front of my work every day, that I could go out and get food from. That would be the most awesome thing. Although I don't think I'll be able to make this happen. I would be in heaven if that could happen. That would be really cool. But the Pittsburgh Smokehouse truck is delicious. Absolutely melt in your mouth, pulled pork. Absolutely mountain. Absolutely, my mouth is melting and I can no longer talk. Melt in your mouth. Who would think that would be so hard to say? Melt in your mouth barbecue. That should be one of those things you have to do for speech class. Around the ragged rock. But it was really good. The very, very nice event though. So if you're ever looking for a place to do a fundraiser, that's a good place to consider to do it. It worked out really well. We do a lot of things in and around the Pittsburgh area, and we'll bring them up from time to time on our podcast of different friends that also do podcasts or have businesses, food trucks, whatnot, that we support and who support us. So that's one we'd like to mention for today. Well, that concludes our podcast for today. Thank you for listening, if you did. And if you didn't, too bad for you.